And also, like I mentioned, let's go ahead and go back to our 3D view here. If you make a smart material you really like, you can just go to the Substance Share. It'll launch the website, and you can go ahead and save these smart materials out, share them on Substance Share, and you can also go ahead and grab my mesh here if you want to follow along or do your own painting, or hell, throw it into a game and run around with it if you want. It's just a game res mesh with a bunch of maps. But one more thing I did want to do with this is go ahead and texture the entire character all together. So how I'm going to do that is go to File, New. I'm going to discard these changes here. I'm going to go select my mesh, and this time what I'm going to do is go to my desktop because that one's set up correctly. So I'm going to grab this OBJ, and I'm going to go ahead and add, I'm not going to add all of the textures, although I guess what I could do is do a search for everything that's a TGA in this folder. No, maybe not. So I'm just going to go through and I'm going to grab all the arm here. And if you want to, you can go ahead and grab, here's the flashbang stuff. Here's the handgun stuff. Hands. Helmet. Lower body. And upper body. Okay, so we've got our objects selected and all of these. It's an OpenGL. 1024 is fine to start out with. I can hit OK. And now that's all loaded up. They'll be auto plugged in here. So, and also I've got a bunch of texture sets. So by default the arms is selected. If I go down here to, let's go ahead and select our helmet. So we're going to grab, our helmet is actually head SG. I'm going to select that and hit solo, and it's going to turn everything off of my helmet here. So I can look at my helmet here. Let's go ahead and turn our environment opacity down. And just to texture this thing really quickly, I'm going to go to my smart materials here and get rid of that brick. And we've got our demo helmet smart material in there. I'm going to drag that in. Goes ahead and textures that for me. And I can just go all the way through this thing. So I'm going to go to my flashbang here. And I'm going to solo that. And if I zoom out, you can kind of see that. And I can go ahead and drag on demo helmet. Now this one might not actually texture anything correctly. Oh, it did. There were some material IDs in there that was selected. So we'll go to forearms, and we'll drag that on there. And again, I didn't go through and texture all my material ID stuff, but it should do a fairly okay job, I guess. Handgun. And now that we got these all assigned, you can go through, and if you just want to paint on your head, you can go into solo mode, do all the paint on your head work you need to do. You can go in here and make changes to any of these attributes, add new layers, paint on decals, whatever you need to do. Show all to go ahead and show everything. As well as you can go through here, and now we can start having a little bit of fun with maybe turning on shadows. Holding down shift and right click to kind of change your environment. Lighting, let's go ahead and choose another environment light. Let's go ahead and bring our environment opacity back up, change the environment blur back down. You can kind of see the object being lit by the environment. Casting shadows, go into post effects here. You can turn on anti-aliasing, maybe do a little bit of vignette. So we'll go ahead and activate post effects here, and then turn these on. Vignette, we can turn on glare, go into the glare settings, and we can change the luminance, threshold, remap factor, all sorts of really cool stuff you can do. And let's go ahead and for viewer settings, let's turn our environment opacity back down, and you can go ahead and do your beauty renders like that. And again, if you want to, now that you've done this, you can go ahead and crank this up to 2048, 4096 and paint, as well as you can go in here to File, Export Textures, and instead of painting in here and waiting a little bit longer for 2048 or 4096 to catch up, what you can do is paint in 1024 to evaluate, and then go in here and change all these to, like, you know what, when I export this thing on export, change these to 2048. Or what would make more sense is, like, you know what, the arms only need to be a 1024, flashbang can be a 512, that's tiny. Forearms probably, because they're going to be on the screen, need to be a 2048. Handgun can be tiny, it's just tucked into her belt there, you don't really see that. The head should be big, lower body should be big, and then upper body should be big, or 4096 or whatever. Once you've done all that for all your texture sets here, you've set basically the size they're going to export at. Now you need to look at what you're actually exporting. So in this instance, what we're exporting is the all the document channels, which is our color, height, roughness, and metallicity. We didn't add an emissive in this particular instance, and the normal map. So that's pretty cool, and you can go ahead and hit export. It'll export those. Now if you want to see what you're exporting, you can go into your configuration, and right now it's set up to export a normal map, a world space normal map, ID map, ambient occlusion map, curvature map, position, and thickness map. and that's for your additional maps. Check it. I should say. So if you go down in here to config and you choose additional maps, that's what you're going to export. If you go in here and choose, for example, PBR metal rough, go to your config and select PBR metal roughness. Yeah, let's go make this a little bit bigger here. This one will export a base color. So actually what it's going to export is, a base color map, and that's basically your RGB map with an alpha, and your base color is plugged into there. It's going to name it your $ mesh name, which in this case is whatever that mesh name we brought in, which I believe was GDC. So it'll be GDC female underscore the texture set name, which will be, say, underscore handgun SG underscore head SG underscore base color underscore roughness underscore metallic. So it'll go ahead and name all that stuff for you. If you want to do your own config, all you need to do is click this little plus sign, and that'll give you a new export preset. And I've already got a test export in there. Let's do another one. Test 2 export. And if you want to go ahead and, so let's say we want to export our base color. Well, that's easy. That's an RGB. And our base color here, we're going to go grab it. So click it and just drag it right onto this RGB square. And we're going to say we want that to be plugged into the RGB channels. So here we are. We got our base color plugged into RGB. Now if we want to name it like we had the other naming convention, let's go ahead and click that $ and say, okay, we want the mesh name GDC female underscore, so shift underscore here. And then we want the texture set. So that's going to name it GDC female underscore head SG, for example, underscore. And we'll call this base color. So pretty easy. So if we want to create another one, let's do an RGBA. So what that does is go ahead and break these things out into individual channels, and then we can say in the red channel we want to pack our roughness. In the green channel we want to pack our ambient occlusion. In our blue channel we want to pack our metallic. And in our alpha map, let's say we want to pack in our our height map. Go ahead and throw that in there. Another thing you can do is, let's do an RGB, and let's go ahead and throw our normal map in there. Let's go ahead and click and drag that on there, RGB channels. If you want to add an alpha to this one, you can, I think you can just do RGB plus A. Okay, so you can split these into individual channels, but you can't really add an alpha, doesn't look like. So I'm going to do an RGB plus A, go ahead and drag my normal into here. The alpha, you can drag whatever you want to. You also notice as I'm dragging, these are all kind of color coded, so you're going to see my ambient occlusion is this darker blue, my roughness is this lighter blue, alpha is this green height, so you can kind of keep track of that stuff. And of course you're going to want to go ahead and tell it the naming convention, so you can just copy paste this, all this $ stuff, and then instead of base color you would want to do like a combo, and then for this one you would do normal. So now when you hit export, it'll go through and export all of these things if you have this selected. So if we go back to our export and we just choose our drop down, we want to go to the very bottom here, test 2 export. Export all these at these sizes with this configuration, with this packing, and you're good to go. Another thing I didn't mention is I didn't actually add a thickness map to any of these, but while you're in Painter you can go ahead and bake those as well. It's super easy to do. All you got to do is at the very top here, well, let's go ahead and just do this. Let's go to, well, is there anything more I need to talk about while I got everything up here? No, I think that's it. Just to reiterate though, when you go to File, Export, the config, if you want to export to Arnold, CryEngine, Unity, Unreal, V-Ray, make your own for Redshift. You can do your own for Octane. Any sort of special exporting thing you need to do, now you know how to pack your maps up just like this.